Good day, everyone. I am Oberlane Ang from BSc 2A. I'm gonna present and discuss about the different types of fingerprint classifications. There are 6 different types of fingerprint classifications. First is the primary classification. Second is the secondary classification. Third is the subsecondary classification. Fourth is the major. Fifth is final. And sixth is the key classifications. In the fingerprint classification, primary classification is the first classification we will gonna discuss. Primary classification focuses on world, and world only. Pre-established number fraction of 1:1. This is constant. First, we will pair and find the numerical value. First is we will find the pairs of each fingers and its numerical values. First pair is the thumb and the index finger. Second pair is the ring finger and the middle finger. Third pair is the little finger and the thumb in the left hand. Fourth pair is the index finger and the middle finger in the left hand. And the last pair is the ring finger and the little finger on the left hand. So each fingers or each pair has numerical values. So the first pair has 16, second pair has 8, third has 4, fourth has 2, and fifth has 1. So we will proceed in getting the number of the denominator and the numerator. First, the even number are the numerator. So the even numbers are the 2, 4, 6, 8, and 10. While the odd numbers are the denominators or the 1, 3, 5, 7, and 9. We will gonna sum up now. The focus of this primary classification is only the world. So we will just find the world. First, in the right thumb, we have a whorl that has a ridge count of 16. So 1 is an odd number, so we will put it in the denominator, 16 here. Second finger is arc, so it is not counted because it is not a whorl. Third is radial loop, so it's not a whorl also. Fourth is whorl type, so plain whorl, so we have a ridge count of 8 and it is even number, so we will put it in the numerator. Fifth is not a whorl, ulnar loop is the 6, radial loop is the 7, and 8 is whorl, so we have a ridge count of 2, so it is an even number also, so we will put it here in the numerator. 9 is not a whorl, 10 is whorl, so we have a ridge count of 1 and it is an even number, so we will put it here in the numerator. We have a pre-established fraction of 1:1 and it is constant, so we will add this up. We will add all of this, so the answer would be 8 plus 2 plus 1 plus the constant number of 1, so the answer is 12. The denominator is 16 plus 1 is equal to 17. So this is the summation of the primary classification of whorl type classification. So that is the primary classification. It only focuses on the pairing and numerical values and getting the numbers of numerator and denominator, then summing up all of its ridge counts. Next is we will proceed to the secondary classification. In the secondary classification, the index finger is the only series concern capital letters. The thumb, middle, ring, and little finger concerns small letters. The capital letters are index and small letters, thumb, middle, ring, and little fingers. The capital letters is the plain arch, radial loop, tented arch, ulnar loop, plain whorl, central pocket whorl, double loop whorl, and accidental. While the small letters is radial, plain arch, and tented arch. So it belongs to the rat family. The small letters is rat family. So the first, in summing up, first we will find the capital letters in the index finger. We will start in the right index finger. So we have plain whorl in the index finger. So we will put it in the numerator. The second, radial loop. So the symbol of radial loop in the left index finger is R. So we'll put the big letter or the capital letter R in the denominator. Next, we will proceed on finding the small letters in the thumb, middle ring, and little finger. So we will start in the right hand. In the thumb, we have ulnar loop. It doesn't belong to the rat fam, so we will leave blank in this side because it is not radial, plain, and tented arch. Next is we will proceed to the middle finger. The middle finger has tented arch. So tented arch has the symbol of T in the small letter. So we will put T beside the capital letter W. Next is the ring finger, which is accidental whorl. So we will leave it blank because it's not small letter. Next is the radial loop. Radial loop, which is part of the small letters, so we will put the small r beside the dash. So we will proceed in the denominator. The first is plain arc. So plain arc is part of the rat family, so we will put the small letter A ahead of the capital letter R. Next is double loop, so it is not part of the rat fam, so we will leave it blank. Then tented arch, we will put letter T, the symbol of T, because it's tented arch. And then little finger is ulnar loop, so we will put a dash because it is not part of the rat family. So this is the secondary classification on fingerprinting. Now we will proceed in the sub-secondary classification. The sub-secondary classification is about ridge counting of loops and whorl tracing. The focus of this sub-secondary classification is the index finger, middle finger, and the ring fingers. In the loop ridge count, we have the index finger, which have the ridge count and conversion. In the index finger, 1 or 9 is inner, while 10 or more is outer. In the middle finger, we have 1 to 10 inner, 11 or more is outer. So in the ring finger, 1 to 13 is inner, 14 or more is the outer. In the whorl pattern, inner is 3 or more and it will be inside or above, while the outer is 3 or more again and it is outside or below. In the meeting naman, 0 or 2 ridges inside or outside. So now we will sum up and find the whorl pattern and loop ridges. We will just disregard the thumb and the little finger because our focus is the index, middle, and the ring finger. We are just finding the loops and whorl tracing in this part or in the secondary classifications. We'll focus in whorl and loop. First is arc. Arc is not part of loop and whorl, so this is not valid. Next is ulnar loop. Ulnar loop has 11 ridge count, so it is in the middle finger, so we will find it here. 11, so it would be, the result would be outer because 11 or more is outer, so we'll put here outer. We have a dash here because arc is not a whorl or a loop. Next is in the ring finger, we have a whorl, so we will find it in the whorl pattern. It has the ridge count of 8. This is 8. We will find it in the whirl, so it would be inner because 3 or more, and it has a symbol of I, so it is inside or above, so we will put I in here. Next is the left hand. We will start in the index finger. We have a radial loop, so we will find the index finger radial loop with an ridge count of 3. Index finger 1, 2, or 3 is inner, so we will put the inner symbol here. Next is whirl. We have 6. This will be in the outer part. We'll put the symbol of outer. Then lastly is the ring finger, which has ridge count is 1, so it will be meeting because it has 0 to 2 ridges only, so meeting. This is the ridge count of the sub-secondary classification that we sum up. This is the example of sub-secondary classification, which focuses only on the loop, ridge count, and whirl pattern of index, middle, and ring finger. So we will proceed now in the major classification. Major classification. In the major classification, we are focusing on the ridge count and whirl tracing of thumb. It only focuses on the thumb. Major classification. It has the chart of the left hand and the right hand. The left hand consists of 1 to 11 ridge count, which symbolize of small. Then 12 to 16 is medium. 17 or more is large. In the right hand, we have 1 to 17 small. 18 to 22 is medium. 23 or more is large. So we have the example here. We will disregard the rest of these fingers because we only focus on the thumb. Radial loop. First is radial loop. So we are finding the ridge count of whirl tracing of thumb. So first is the radial loop, which has the ridge count of 20 in the right hand, and whirl in the ridge count of 18. So first is we will find the left thumb. We will prioritize the left before the right. So it has the ridge count of 18. So 18 is 17 or more. So we have the large, the symbol of large in the denominator. Next is the radial loop, or that has 20 ridge count. So we will find it in the right hand board, which is in the medium. So we will put in the numerator the symbol of medium. So this is the example of getting the major classification in the thumb. Major in the numerator and large in the denominator. Next, we will proceed in the final classification. In the final classification, ridge count of loops. In the final classification, we will focus on the little finger because in the major classification, we focus on the thumb, while in the final classification, we will focus on the little fingers. Plain whirl and central pocket loop. Whirl is treated as ulnar loop. Get the least ridge count always at the numerator. So we will only get the numerator in this major classification. And again, we will disregard the rest of the fingers because we will only focus on the little fingers. So it only focuses on the loop and whirl. So if you can't find loop or whirl in the little finger, you will not put any number in the numerator. So we have whirl, which consists of 16 ridge count, and radial loop that consists of 17 ridge count. In the final classification, getting the least ridge count is always the numerator. So the least ridge count in the two of this is the 16. So we will put the 16 in the numerator. That is the final classification of the little finger in finding the ridge count of loops or whirl. which is the least count. That is the final classification. It only focuses in the loops and whirl and in the little finger that consist of the least ridge count. Next is we'll proceed in the last classification, which is the key classification. Ridge counting of the first loop. In case no loop, ridge count the first whirl. Numerator only. If there is no loop or whirl, leave it blank. In this key classification, we will just focus in the first loop we would see or the first whirl we would see. And it only has the numerator. So, if there is no whirl or loop, we should leave it blank. So, here is the first example. First example is arc in the thumb, double loop whirl, and radial loop. So we prioritize the first loop. So we saw first loop. We saw a whirl type, but we focus on the loop first. So we saw a radial loop, and it consists of ridge count of 17. So the numerator of this key classification is 17. We will proceed in the next example. If we can find a loop, we will proceed to finding a whirl. Arc, tinted arc, loop, double loop whirl, plain arc. We saw first the double loop whirl, which consists of 3 ridge counts. So the answer is 3. The numerator of this key classification is 3. Because this is the first loop that we saw. If we don't see any whirl or loop in the example, so we won't put any numerator. We will just leave it blank. That's all for the fingerprint classifications. That is the 6 fingerprint classifications that we discussed for today. I hope you understand and learn from this discussion. Thank you for watching and listening.